Hello guys, welcome to our video. So today I would like to share with every one of you about the introduction of Egypt, and my part cover the content of population. Population in Egypt. Egypt, officially the Arab Republic of Egypt, is a transcontinental country spanning the northeast corner of Africa and southwest corner of Asia by a land bridge formed by the Sinai Peninsula. Egypt population of 2020 is 102,334,404 people according to the UN data. The Egypt population of 2019 is 100,388,73. The yearly percentage change between 2020 and 2019 is 1.94%. Egypt population is equivalent to 1.31% of the total world population. Egypt has the largest, most densely settled population among the Arab countries. The total area of the country covers approximately 1 million square kilometers. Egypt ranked number 14 in the list of country and dependency by population. 43.0% of the population is urban. Egypt's capital city is Cairo. The largest city in Egypt is Cairo with a population over 7.7 million. The second largest city in the population of Egypt is Alexandria with over 3.8 million, followed by Giza with over 2.4 million in population. Too many cities in Egypt, and it's known for its ruins, historical places and site of world wonders.
And I will present about the circular flow of income in Egypt. Egypt has coastline on the Mediterranean Sea, the River Nile and the Red Sea. Egypt is surrounded by Libya in the west, Gaza Strip to the northeast, Israel to the east and Sudan to the south. The distribution of GDP in Egypt is divided by two sectors, which is public sector 41% and service sector 59%. The public sector consists of government services, social services, agriculture, manufacturing, mining, petroleum and product, also electricity. While for services sector, it consists of construction, transportation, telecommunication, trade, finance, insurance, tourism, and also real estate. The biggest contributor for Egyptian GDP are trade, finance, and insurance, which represented 22% of their overall GDP. The second biggest contributor are manufacturing and mining, which is 18%, followed by agriculture, which is 15%. GDP growth rate by annual percent. Egyptian GDP growth rate by annual percent show that on 2011 it increased by 1.8%, while on 2012 it increased by 0.4%. For 2013, it stayed the same with the annual GDP growth from 2012. For 2014, the annual GDP increased by 0.7% from the previous year. A massive 1.5% of increase happened in 2015, which put their annual GDP at 4.4%. For 2016 and 2017, a decrease by 1% took place in each year, while at 2018, the annual GDP for Egypt increased again by 1.1%. For 2019, the land of the Pharaoh and 1,000 Sun record the massive annual GDP growth rate in this time span, where their annual GDP growth rate increased by 5.6%.
Hello, my name is Ahmad Daniel and today I'm going to explain to you guys about concept of national income in Egypt. The gross domestic product, also known as GDP in Egypt, was worth 303.1 billion US dollar in 2019. Compared to the year of 2018, the GDP of Egypt was worth 249.7 billion US dollar. According to official data from the World Bank and projections from Trading Economics, the GDP value of Egypt represents 0.25% of the world economy. Meanwhile, the data from World Bank shows the GDP for Egypt in 2019 was 303.1 billion US dollar, and increased as much as 5.56% from 2018. According to World Trade Organization, the Egyptian economy has a trade deficit. Excluding services, the deficit decreased in 2019 as imports of goods decreased by 1.5%, reaching 70.9 billion US dollar, while exports grew by 4.9%, reaching around 29 billion US dollar. As for services, Egypt exported 24.3 billion US dollar worth of services in 2019, while it imported 20.2 billion US dollar.
Hi, I will talk about the method being used by Egypt to measure their GDP. Egypt has chosen to use product approach as the main. I have collected data from World Bank website from year 2015 to 2019 and 2020, showing the movement of the GDP growth of the country. Based on the table presented, at the year 2015, the GDP growth at 4.37%, increasing by 1.45% from the previous year. The following 2 years, there is a slightly changes in GDP growth, where it is decreasing by 0.02% and 0.17%, making it 4.35% and 4.18%. But in 2018, Egypt GDP growth spiked by 1.13%, making it 5.31% compared to the year 2017, 4.18%. Lastly, in year 2019 again, Egypt GDP growth at 5.56%, with increasing 0.25% from the year 2018. Following to the COVID-19 pandemic, Egypt GDP growth hit a downfall to 3.57%, showing a 1.99% of decrease. In 2021, also the World Bank predicted the country's GDP growth will keep decreasing. They projected as low as 2.47%. Next, we will have a look at the main contributors to Egypt GDP. The main sector that contribute into the country's GDP is agriculture, industry, and services. Here, we presented the data from the year 2015 to 2019. Based on the table, services contribute the most with more than 50% each year. The second in line is industry. In 2015, it contributes 36.63%, which were the highest among the year, but in 2016, it decreased by 4.17% to 32.46%. That year, 2016, was the lowest recorded among the year. Lastly, agriculture sector has been very passive throughout the year, with all the number ranging 11% from the year 2015 to 2019.
I'm going to present about final consumption expenditure and government contribution to growth expenditure on GDP in Egypt. For final consumption expenditure, the percentage of final expenditure in 2015 is decreased by 0.599, which is equal to 94.19%. In 2016, the percentage is increased by 0.325, which is equal to 94.515. Then, 2017, the percentage of final expenditure is increased by 3.701, which is equal to 98.216. In 2018, the percentage of final expenditure in Egypt extremely decreased by 7.418, which is equal to 90.798. and in 2019 the percentage of final expenditure is decreased by 0.194, which is equal to 90.604%. Next, government contribution to growth in expenditure on GDP. From the data that I have collected from the World Bank, it is shown that in 2016, the percentage of government expenditure is equal to 32.73%. In the next year, it is decreased by 0.54%, which is equal to 32.19%. In 2018, the percentage of government expenditure is decreased by 2.08%, which is equal to 30.11%. And in 2019, the percentage of government expenditure is 28.28%, which is decreased by 1.83 from the recent year.
For the last part, I will explain about the use of national income. National income measure economic health of a country. There are three uses of national income. Standard of living indicator. Irfan already explained about the GDP growth in Egypt. According to the data, GDP growth hit a downfall to 3.57%, showing 1.99% of decrease due to COVID-19 pandemic. The second point is sectoral contribution. As you guys know, Egypt has three major sectors contribute to the economy, which are agriculture, industry and services. Lastly, the third use is international comparison. The purpose of the use is to make international comparison of people's living standard or real income. Based on all the data explained by my group members, we can compare the absolute size of one economy relative to another, and we also can know how well off average individual is in each country.